Morning, everyone. So, retail keywords triggering AI overviews increased by 206% between January and March 2025. And when AI overviews appear, click through rates drop by 47%, which means that 60% of Google searches are now ending without a click. Meanwhile, ChatGPT has 800 million weekly active users. Perplexity is processing 780 million queries monthly, and your customers are therefore discovering products through the large language models right now. But the reality is that if you're worrying about losing traffic to AI search, there's already some other things to consider. 86% of mobile app visitors on average are abandoning their carts. Desktop converts at 4.8%, mobile at 2.9%. So you're losing customers on your own site before AI even enters the picture. So the question isn't, will we lose traffic to AI? The question is, how do we win customers back to our site after they discover us through AI? And I'm going to walk us through why this is the question. So a few weeks ago, I posted about OpenAI's 4% transaction fee on LinkedIn. And I'll just share my screen. So here's a screenshot of that post. So yeah, and basically the post was around the fact that OpenAI, they've introduced this 4% transaction fee for purchases made through their platform, their ChatGPT platform. So and someone in the comments asked the right question, and they were basically asking, if you pay 4% for the acquisition through the large language models, but you invest in AI search on your own site for retention, then why would the customer ever be on your site for them to be retained? And if discovery and conversion happens in the LLM now, you'll never see that customer again. And I'm going to walk through why this isn't the case and why a lot of people have kind of had this knee-jerk reaction to this, that they need to basically have a bit more of a deeper think about. And I'm going to explain some of the reasons why. So today we're going to break down when to work with the large language models and accept the 4% fee for discovery, because it can actually be useful. How to win customers back to your direct channels, to straight to your website, and what you can do that the LLMs can't compete with. So before we start, I'll put a link to our Conversion Catalyst newsletter in down below. So let's add that here. There we go. So it's where D2C marketing leaders go to learn how smart engineering, not just better creative, optimizes the entire customer lifecycle. So yeah, if you want to join and get those weekly tips, then yeah, the link is in the chat. So let's break this down. So the new D2C funnel, that's kind of what we want to have a think about. So it's LLM discovery, direct conversion. So we need to accept the reality. AI search is a discovery channel. It's a new channel. There's 721%. Let me just bring up the graph. There we go. So ChatGPT share that we've got 64.5% of market share on ChatGPT now. Gemini's grown to 21.5%. There has been a big shift this year in the amount between them two. And you can kind of see in the first graph here how that kind of distributes. But there's a 721% average monthly increase for AI search platforms overall. And yeah, ChatGPT now has, as of latest results, 900 million weekly active users versus Gemini's 750 million. So yeah, or monthly active users. So it's the amount of people using these tools is growing enormously. And fighting this growth is like fighting Google back in 2005 when they were basically just taking over. So, yeah, year-over-year growth rates are in here as well. So you can kind of have a quick glance at those. I won't go into too much detail, but they're on screen if you want to have a look. But the smart play here is basically to use these AI tools for what they're good at, which is basically discovery, and win customers back for what they're not good at, which is conversion and retention. So I'm going to walk through a few of the ways we can do this. So, but yeah, before we get into that, let's have a quick chat about where LLM commerce actually works. So LLMs can win the sale in some places, and in other places they can't. So where we're seeing that this is going to be really useful is essentially these simple purchases for low cost items, because essentially you've got things like batteries, cables, cleaning products, stationery, all the things in this box that they're easy to buy. They're commodities. They're really simple, low effort decisions in order to buy them. their impulse purchases, so things like fast food and taxis and that sort of thing, and reorders of known products, things you've had before. So in most cases, you can just list your products on the LLMs and start accepting the sale in exchange for a 4% fee, which is, yeah, probably what you pay on other platforms anyway. So it just becomes a new channel for discovery and for the sale. So yeah, so you get the sale even at potentially a lower margin, and yeah, your opportunity for you have an opportunity there for physical inbox retention, which I'll go through in a minute when it's delivered. So you can have QR codes and discount links and samples, and the customer has proven their intent. So you've now got their address, so you can start contacting them. Well, it drops pieces into their parcel essentially that can then have some follow-up communications with that user. So yeah, according to a research in our Q1 2026 guide, 14% of people trust AI for autonomous purchases already. That 14% is real revenue, so you can take that straight away. However, all of them can benefit from discovery through the LLMs. So as you can see here, as we get to the high end, it's very much these are things that customers don't buy straight away. They have a lot of decision. They have a lot of comparison. They need to understand more about the products, about the brands. It's not a quick sale. They're large cost purchases, so therefore they're going to have a lot more consideration over what they're spending their cash on. So yeah, see that kind of gives you a brief idea of kind of where we see this sitting in terms of the capabilities. And I'm going to walk in through a few reasons how you can have people come back to your site or go direct to your site, so that you're not losing traffic to the LLMs and they're staying there. So even if you're in this box or you're in this one, you can both take advantage of using the LLMs for discovery and then retaining the customers thereafter. And the same for everyone in between as well. So first thing is the inbox retention tactics. So you can have essentially links on cards to your website. So you can have QR codes or links that the users can scan or click or type in really for to get back onto your site. So for example, you can have the direct to brand QR codes. So discounts, just scan with your phone camera immediately. You can get them through to your website. Show them the other products you've got. So if they've just bought one product on the LLM, you can do those cross selling essentially of other products in the range or other things they might they might want as a subsequent purchase. You can have the 10% discount, free shipping, simple offers that expire with a date expiry on them to make sure there's a bit of urgency in there. And you can also look at doing subscription tactics as well. So if they enjoy the first product and there's something they buy regularly, get them on a subscription. Again, sending them back to your website to sign up for that subscription as well. So yeah, it's incentives essentially to get them back on site, and yeah, they're proven that they'll buy your product already. Now you can use your direct channel to reach out to them in future as well. So having those in package tactics is actually quite useful. So yeah, so now you need to win them back. So this is essentially the customer journey map. So they do their discovery via ChatGPT or Gemini or the other LLMs, and for simple things, yeah, they're going to do a quick purchase, and yeah, you have to pay the 4% fee, but you do get their customer data because that information is going to come through around their address and potentially other data as well that's fed through from the LLMs. You've also got their interest data, obviously what they purchased. Then through the inbox retention, you can transition them to online, and then you've got all the direct site visits. So either through people coming through on the QR code or people coming direct, you can get them through to the site and have a richer experience on site. And I'll talk a bit more about what you can do in terms of the site and improving the customer experience there that makes your brand more of a thing to them, more something that keeps them coming back. Yeah, and then you've also got the fact that for the more complex purchases, they're going to come direct to site. So that's where you'd have like product configurators, loyalty, rewards, bundles, superior tooling, that sort of thing that they'll need to be on site in order to use because the LLMs can't replicate that, at least at the moment. and for the foreseeable future. Yeah, that's gonna be a bit later. But there is some options around potentially providing a more advanced functionality to the LLMs, that is on the horizon, which I'll walk through a bit later. And then, yeah, once you've got them, you've got the repeat customer purchases, so you can keep them engaged, do follow up campaigns, to yeah, email them with updates and that sort of thing. So you've got the loyalty there, and the direct marketing that you can use. So yeah, what you need to do is essentially put some features on site that enable them um to have a better experience than they would have through the LLMs. And this is something that essentially is going to keep your brand in their minds. So getting them through to the site is one thing, and then keeping them there and keeping them coming back is another. And there's some UX techniques and like on-site things you can do, which I'll walk through a few examples of. I've got a good few examples of here of things that you can do for different brands. So that's the new funnel. LLMs for discovery, for quick purchases, direct channel for everything else. Resources I'm going to put in the chat. Newsletter too, if you like more of this. So I'll just drop that in there again for anyone who missed it. And yeah, if you want more resources like this, do just DM me on LinkedIn. Happy to send them across. If there's anything you've seen in the videos that you want me to send across, happy to do so. Yeah, I'm going to break down what you need to build on your site in order to make coming direct worth it. So coming back to your site and visiting your site directly. So right, so the reasons customers choose direct, I've got 15 of these to run through. And yeah, they're good reasons that basically will keep customers coming back. And it's modern tools and techniques that few, if any, sites are taking advantage of right now. So the first thing, before I get into AI search implementation, is more of a general one. So loyalty schemes. So this is where essentially you've got points, tiers, exclusive access. The LLMs at the moment can't manage those multi-purchase relationships. So, for example, having insider access or such as Sephora's Beauty Insider or Amazon Prime, like you've got those relationships with the customer that extend beyond a single purchase. So it could be schemes for additional products, or in the case of Amazon Prime, like entirely different services. Like they've got their delivery service and then they've got their Amazon Prime TV service, and they're both under the same package. And you wouldn't have thought that worked, but it has done for so long. And yeah, so you get those advantages. So and then you've got the deeper discovery. So this is our second one, really. So AI search implementation. So this is where we would have examples of where search that you may have installed with your existing e-commerce platform may not be up to scratch for what's happening at the moment. So what is happening essentially, a lot of search is moving to intent-based searches, which is basically the difference between these two. So rather than customers searching red dress, it's red dress for a summer wedding. Like they're giving you the reason why they're coming back to the site. So this is real intent data that you can use. There is some great stats here as to why you want to have a better search. Essentially, if customers using search are 15% users use site search, and they're 3 times more likely to purchase. And then you've got the search conversion percentages, like they're 3 times higher, as I mentioned, on average 5.4%. And yeah, 0 result searches, like if you put semantic search into your search, which is this kind of intent-based searching, so for summer weddings, you can have a massive reduction in the amount of 0 result searches that get shown. And then yeah, once they've searched, obviously you can have the increase in successful searches. So yeah, this is where essentially those 15% of visitors using search generating 45% of the revenue. It's a huge stat that we're very interested in, and how that can affect the brand experiences. And yeah, what it allows is kind of cross product discovery as well. So LLMs can't really match your catalog. So your on-site search shows all of your products and the subsequent products that they might also want. The LLMs aren't smart enough to do that yet in terms of having the first product you buy and then what you might want next. So yeah, implementation wise, something like this, you can get a project going typically for around about 25k to 50k, depends on your number of products you have. Obviously, it can extend beyond that if you've got something more advanced, but for most e-commerce sites, it's pretty simple to put a layer in front of your existing search. So you can actually integrate it with, if you're using like Algolia or one of these other services, you can add a layer in front that essentially then adds this functionality on top and gives you the more AI based responses. So it's not just search, but also conversational aspects and follow up searches as well, which they don't typically do. So, and then next thing is the advantage you can have of keeping people on site is product configurators. So, for example, if you're buying a car or sofa, and this is going to be for the more complex sales likely, but I've got some other tools and things that will be for simpler products as well. So this is where they have that ability to configure their products. This isn't available in LLMs yet, so definitely having more customization and the ability for, so if you've got customizable products, having the ability for for customers to do that on site keeps them coming back. So things like cars, laptops, conservatories, furniture, custom clothing, you can have real-time visualization of your choices. You can have complex interdependencies between these to update the prices and to, if you choose one feature, then another one might change, or you might need another feature. And LLMs can't really render all this stuff in real time. So there's too much business specific logic in here as to how your business presents your products to your customers that they just can't replicate. Next thing is better customer service. So this is a big one. So conversational AI, knowing when to hand off a user to a conversational AI. So this is far more advanced than old school AI or non-AI chatbots, essentially, that were decision trees. This is real time interacting with a model that is specifically trained on your products, your brand, your understanding of how you work with your customers, your customer service, like your best customer service approaches. It's all of those things. And not only that, you can have the kind of the seamless handoff to a user, to an actual human, if you want that as well. But it's the intent that you get from these. So you, in this, even as a simple example, you got customer asking, what laptop bag do I need for a 15-inch MacBook, assuming this shop sells bags. And yeah, the fact that they've asked for this in particular, you can start pulling out this information, such as the 15-inch MacBook, and say, what's the commonality between all of the real qualitative data that we're getting from these customers. And that helps you then decide what content to push, what images to create. Maybe you should show an example of the bag with a 15-inch MacBook poking out of it. Like, having those extra pieces that show them how that can work. We can even put the images and things in chat. So when they ask for those, you can feed it back in real time. You can show them videos in real time that solve their challenges. Like, so if it's something more solving a challenge, like I don't know, fixing a rusty bicycle chain or something, we can show them the chains and have a video of how to fix them and that sort of thing. So yeah, so we there are a lot of options in there in terms of having a really advanced AI now that can interact with the users in using your tone of voice, your products, your information, your FAQs. You can start small and scale up. They're immediately and immensely useful to customers who are looking for more information. So yeah, it's trained on your information, trained on your policies and your data. And Klarna, for instance, they saved £32 million, about $40 million with their AI customer service. And they own that relationship. They've got all that data and insights that can then be used to improve their service. So it's a huge thing, essentially. And then you've got visual search. So adding these kind of visual search tools to your site. So if you've got any products, having the ability to search for your product by image. I mentioned the other day I had a lamp that I bought from a online website, but the way I found it was basically I was in a pub and I saw a lamp on the table. It was a battery powered lamp, and I took a photo of it and used that to search for the product. and checked out within minutes because it was exactly what I wanted. And having this functionality, or even just really tagging up your images well so they can be found by the external visual image search tools, is really quite handy. So users are then able to upload a photo. They find similar products. Gen Z in particular, 62% of them prefer this approach. And you can have AI product recommendations based on your own customer data and your own products. And you can do this with a range of things, like you can have like size finders and fit predictors and style quizzes. And then you can do things like AR placement. So this is where you might have, for example, for furniture or fashion or beauty, actually having AI placement of your products within the customer's live camera view. So they can take a photo of the room, or just show the room on the camera, and the product shows there in real time. Or in the case of like lipstick or something, it could be putting the shade on somebody's face. So it's having that ability to display the products in real time, and really put the customer in, like, in their shoes with the product, essentially. So and then these tools exist already. For example, like, if you think about it, these tools exist on Amazon. Has the LLM stopped you shopping on Amazon? No, they really haven't. Like, they've got such a great experience on Amazon with all of the tools and features that they've added, and the fast delivery and product upsells and bundles, and all of the media pieces that they add. It's just, there's such a great experience. You're just going to keep going back there directly. So that's essentially what you want to have. And this is an example we have. So we have an image of a car, and we created this website for one of our customers, K's, with their props brand, and this enables them to essentially do a search using a car image. I'm just selecting that car image I just showed you, and yeah, upload that image, and then you can search for a particular prop, that could then be used in the film. So they do props for film and TV, and this kind of image search, just, it rapidly enables them to find similar products, similar aged cars, that sort of thing, that enable them to get through to the information they want a lot faster. And they're quite simple to put together. So it is just a case of integrating with an image search service. So you can essentially take the uploaded image, push it through the image service, which will give you back a number of tags, which you can then use to search on against your previously tagged images in your database. So you just marry the two together. And that, yeah, it creates a great experience, and enables that real-time searching. So the next thing is higher engagement. So 217% engagement increase when you use AI-driven personalization. So yeah, it's a massive increase in customer experience by using these AI personalized elements. So think about using things like your browsing history, your purchase history, your preferences. LLMs, that basically they can't remember you across sessions. To an extent, they've got a little information you might give them, but what e-commerce sites do, they've been doing this for years, and they've got a lot of data, and a lot of supporting information from external CRMs and customer data platforms that essentially you can use to build a far more customized experience and targeted experience for these users. So it's a big difference to kind of a single product discovery, but each has their own advantages. And then there's what they're used to. So it's making sure that you provide the best e-commerce experience for your type of products. So this does vary depending on what you're doing. Like, if you're selling insurance, it's very different to if you're selling batteries. But having some of the real basic pieces just really built really well, so that the customers can essentially have a really great experience, and things like reordering and returns and order tracking, all those things built into the site, that helps people come back and track their orders and do the pieces that they need to do. And having different shipping options and like pay in person and all those things you might want to have. Sorry, I'm losing the mic. So this is essentially where you can create a better experience. But the LLMs, they do buy convenience to an extent, because it's an immediate discovery and immediate purchase for simple products, but it creates a lot of friction in terms of the more traditional e-commerce experience, and actually having these smooth experiences that the customer can then do these like simple repeat purchases and things that you just have on your e-commerce site in a way that is right for your site with all the right information. um so yeah, there's a real advantage there for having a bespoke tailored experience for your particular suite of products and your customers. So yeah, and the LLMs, they'll require re-entry of this data every time to a certain extent, and yeah, you won't have the same kind of level of integration with all of your kind of order tracking and history and bulk buys and all those things that a customer might want. The next thing is trust or authenticity and being the source of truth. So this becomes more of a thing as the products go up in value. But it's basically understanding, is this a real product or a knockoff? Is there a warranty? Is there a returns policy? Is it direct from the brand or a third party? Like LLMs aggregate information, but you are the source of the data that is feeding the LLMs. So it's your articles, your content, your products that are being pushed through to the LLMs. But they don't have the ability to add as much information as this. Like customers can ask for the information, and if it's easily scannable, then they'll be able to get the result. Um, but again, yeah, it's the confidence in that information. Also, is it hallucinating? That is still a thing, less so these days, but it is still a thing. And yeah, being by going directly through to your brand, they get a far greater view of kind of the authenticity and the trust signals that you can show on site. So having things, yeah, just like around the security, is it genuine? Like, are there sales on? Like, what are the reviews like? They can read the reviews really easily. Like, there's a lot of trust signals and social signals that essentially they can see on your site that they won't get on those large language models. Then you've got, well, actually, I'm going to share this one quickly. So this is our AI how AI is making e-commerce feel human again white paper. So essentially, we're doing these quarterly now, but essentially they are an overview. This is an overview of how AI is actually bringing back more traditional customer service values, and why by embracing that, you can then create a more human experience and essentially a better brand experience, improve the perception of your brand and keep customers coming back. So yeah, it's quite a lot in here. There's overview there of the contents if you want to have a look. But yeah, we've gone through and done a lot of research on this and given a lot of advice that brands can use and take away. If you want to grab a copy of that, just DM me the word intent and I'll send it over. And yeah, we can have a yeah, follow-up chat if you're interested as well, but we'll send that across straight away. And yeah, you can read through in your own time. So yeah, just DM me the word intent if you're interested in that on LinkedIn. Right. So the next thing is, yeah, what your customers see. So LLM output versus your brand. So this is where shopping, one thing that's been forgotten is that shopping isn't entirely logical. It's often an emotional purchase. So people will still want to buy things. Like everyone's forgetting that we're still selling to people. So whilst it's really easy to get a lot of information from LLMs, like you get a lot of stuff stripped away. So things like your hero imagery, your brand videos, your brand voice, your lifestyle photos of the product in situ, your communities that customers have access to, and the values and mission and yeah, the asides around being eco-friendly and that sort of thing. The people that you offer, but isn't displayed in the LLM experience, and that's a feeling, that's emotions that creates that encourage the purchase. So LLMs strip all that away and just give you what you asked for. They're not designed to create a CTA sales driven experience. They're designed to give you what you asked for. and that's quite a difference. So yeah, there's a lot that gets lost, a lot that gets kept on site, that you lose in the LLMs, and yeah, it makes a big difference having that information, and encouraging the sale. Then there is your brand story essentially. So this is things like your sustainability commitments, whether your products are fair trade, if you do local sourcing, if you have charitable partnerships, if you have a B Corp certification going, maybe. So and how what your score on that is, and yeah, it like do you have carbon neutral shipping and that sort of thing. Customers are increasingly choosing based on these values, but the LLMs, they can't convey the depth of commitment that you have given to that, and that you build in your site UX, that gives that information at the right time in the right order. We build these sites in such a way that they're designed to push people through to purchase, and there's not anything untoward in that. We're just giving them the right information at the right time, to show them the things that they need to be able to confidently make their own decision as to whether or not to buy that product. And yeah, LLMs, they can't tell that experience, that story. They also can't show things like, yeah, the customer reviews. I mentioned this before, but it's things like the reviews, the galleries, the Q&A. It's real customer reviews with photos. Having that on site just creates so much community and sense of reality, really, in seeing the products in situ with customers, and then be actually being able to talk to each other and have like forums where they can go back and forth and talk to each other and ask questions and get actual answers from real users or customers. um, LLMs will summarize those reviews, but they can't really show you that community and what the depth of that community that's been created around the products. um yeah, and then the sensory experience. So this is where essentially you can use rich media in your in your products. So this is things like being able to see the products in action, looking at different angles, using those rotation tools, and then building up the experience, building up the social shares through things like the moment a product arrives, and having influencers essentially helping with that as well. But yeah, being able to do the material close-ups, so looking at the high zoom on the materials. So if it's a certain type of material, it's actually seeing like, is it soft? Is it strong? Like what kind of material is that? And having things like how to wear it guides, like lookbooks and style guides and inspiration galleries. Like the the difference here is you're creating a real experience around that product. And given this is probably, you're not going to have this on commodity items, but for the larger purchases and even mid market kind of purchases, then um, those are things where this experience is going to come to the fore and actually drive more more familiarity with your brand, and more affinity with your brand. So it keeps people coming back because they can actually see these things in real time and actually see, oh, what's that going to look like? Whereas the LLMs are very much text based. You own you own this visual experience. Like the LLMs can do images and they can create images, but the actual shopping experience is limited. So it's kind of what I'm getting at with these examples. But yeah, and then you've got things like the advanced logistics options. So it's things like having the different types of delivery, that go beyond basics. So seeing things like which are eco-friendly, which are free, which are popular, what's premium, um, different places to deliver, like having those advanced things like gift wrapping, and then setting preferred dates for delivery. Like this is a lot of delivery options to for the LLMs to integrate. So it's going to be a while, if they do this at all, before they get integrated. So those complex shipping options, being able to have like flexible returns, and being able to return like in store or by post or extended windows, or using the drop off points. Um, and yeah, having things like product bundles and packages, and um installation services, like these things like extended warranties. Like it's all add-ons to the services that make going direct to site a far more compelling and important experience like to do. So you know that if you buy it through the LLMs, you might not get all the added extras. You might not get the best deal. The LLMs can't really coordinate all these logistics for all of the products. Like it's a limited workflow in terms of what you'll get. And then you've got things like exclusive access. You can create VIP areas, VIP schemes. So yeah, getting early access to new collections on site, members only things where they have to come to the site in order to get those advantages. Priority support lines. So yeah, them being able to come directly through to your site and actually having an understanding of what it takes in order to get support or warranty or returns, that sort of thing. Things like collaborations, like you're not really going to get that in an LLM where two products are working together. Like two product designers or an artisan or whoever it is working together with a designer, or having those member only options in terms of the features and yeah, what they can have in terms of when they come through to the site versus what they would have on the LLMs. And then yeah, having those private sales, so area like products and bundles and offers what they're only available on site before they're available to the general public. And yeah, so this creates a very it's a private members only experience that it just adds a bit more of a, again, compelling reason to come and direct to site and experience your brand and do things that are specific to you and your site. So and then you've got the simple one, which is just price it differently. So you can offer a better price for on-site purchases versus using the LLMs. So you can have direct only discounts and promotions. You can have things like the subscribe and save models. You can have price matching guarantees, transparent prices. Whereas if you're pushing to a LLM, likely you're going to have to give that in the form of a feed, which is ingested on a cadence. So therefore, things like price matching and there's not going to be available. So and then having things like the insights. So well, the core insight here is essentially it's a LLMs are fantastic. So, but they can't be everything to all people. So for quick, simple commodity purchases, then yeah, you pay the 4% and you get a checkout. It's just a new channel for you to sell on. Say where you would sell on TikTok shopping or whatever it might be for simple purchases. But for the complex, high value, brand driven purchases, your site needs to be undeniably better, and then that will keep the customers coming back. So the data shows that when you invest in these capabilities like the AI search, your customers will choose direct and they will spend more. So it's very much just a simple decision around you have to just create a better experience. Customers have always been of the mind that they want a great customer experience. They wanted it when they were in shop. They now want it when they're online. If they've got a simpler customer experience that's great for certain products, they're going to take that. Like, but there are things you can do to win them back and to keep them coming back. If you really want to do that, you can go either option. You don't have to do either one. But yeah, it's going to be a case of if you don't go on some of these channels, like if you don't do the LLM discovery, then you're going to lose out on those sales. Which, if you've got commodity products, you may as well do. Even if your products aren't commodity, sometimes people just want a quick sale. So it could be that listing some standard options on the LLMs would still be beneficial, and it would drive them through to your site, and then you can remarket to them. So it does have those benefits. And then, yeah, so let's move on to the build plan, essentially. So, yeah, so what you want to do is kind of keep customers on your site and to reduce abandonment. So there is a lot of things that you can probably do to your existing site that would make a big difference already. So things like targeting a faster page speed. This can be done very, very quickly. There are tools that can be integrated to do high quality 4K video in minimal file sizes using AI. If you're interested in those, Ian, yeah, reach out to me. But essentially, you're by doing these simple fixes, you're reducing that 86% mobile cart abandonment for mobile e-commerce people doing mobile e-commerce purchases. And then the other stat is you have 53% abandonment if a page takes longer than 3 seconds to load. And desktop on average is converting at 4.8% versus mobile's 2.9%, which is basically because it's just slower on 4G to load a website, or on Wi-Fi or whatever you might be. Sometimes it's a bit iffy reception depending on where you are. The reason is the sites are just too heavy. If the sites were smaller, they would load faster, and then they'd be able to check out. So it's just an optimization play that can have a huge impact. If you're thinking you can either spend an extra 20, 30K on ads, or you can spend 20, 30K on optimizing the site and then have all your ads thereafter perform better. It makes sense from that angle. And then you've got some quick wins. So yeah, fix the page speed. Make sure your mobile checkout is optimized. So things like making sure that the keyboard doesn't block certain elements, especially with some of the latest iPhone keyboard mishaps that are going on at the moment. So make sure you can still check out okay on mobile, and edit things, fill out text fields, that sort of thing. Make sure your CTAs are clear. So just by improving CTAs and doing a bit of conversion rate optimization, you can have a huge impact on your conversion rate. And make sure you're using things like the high contrast colors, action oriented copy, and thumb zone placements for mobile. And then make sure you've got touch friendly tap targets. So this is basically having buttons that are big enough to press and you don't have to really hit with a fingernail. Like it's having the having it be mobile friendly. And and just having like simplified forms, less fields where possible, have inline validation and native input types. So if it's numbers, choose a number picker for like phones and that. And then live chat for the high value browsing. So this is where you'd have the ability to just jump into a conversation and use voice and use image search. Like that is what the phones are great at. So let's get that integrated with a real-time chat experience on site that can then create that better experience. Cool. Right. So if you're looking at this and you're thinking, right, this is starting to get a bit heavy now. This is where most teams get stuck. So figuring out which of all of these things you need to do and what matters for your customers, your product mix, your margin structure. If you need some help figuring out what that is, you're welcome, of course, to tackle it internally. But if you want someone to just assess your situation and to give you a plan, we do that for free. So we can take a look at your site and give some practical recommendations. It's a 30-minute call we'll have initially to understand your goals, understand what you're trying to do, understand how we can help. It is application only, but I'll leave the note in the chat, so this doesn't apply to everyone, but if you are interested, you can apply using that link. And we can have a quick chat, understand your goals and how we can optimize your site and potentially work together in creating a better, more high performing site for you in the face of and in collaboration with the LLMs. So the next thing is obviously to you want to get more customers to your site, and this is basically earning those LLM referrals. So this is where we're now talking about using the fact that people are going direct to the LLM. So you want to create very definitive content that the LLMs will cite. You want to have like buying guides, so the ultimate guide to your product category, comparison content, so X product versus Y product, which is right for you. You want things like specifications and technical data on site that are in structured data formats and they're comprehensive. FAQs addressing any concerns that the customers might have. And then you want to capture those intent signals essentially to inform the content. So what are people searching for on your site? So you're looking at the AI search logs, the conversation logs. So what questions does your chatbot field? And then what do your support teams get asked? So what you emailed about, looking kind of off-site as well as to what should be on-site. And then what are customers asking in the reviews and in the community? Like, what are their challenges with the products? Yeah, you want to feed this back into your content creation. So if 200 people are searching, for example, waterproof hiking boots under 150 pounds, then you want to create that guide. Like, these are the best waterproof hiking boots under 150 pounds, and that will help drive that traffic through to your site and through to a conversion. And if your chatbot gets, for example, what's the difference between these two products 50 times, then maybe you should write a written comparison for that as well, and make sure the chatbot response is kind of citing that and then giving the best response possible. So you've got dedicated answers for specific questions or the most popular questions. And if your support team, even offsite, says, "Can I use this product for X repeatedly?" Like, add that use case in. Like, look at what those questions are and add those into actual content that is comprehensive. Now, when it comes to kind of the more technical side, this is where you want to make sure that it's really LLM friendly. So you want things like the clear factual statements, so they're easy to extract. You want valuable content, so it has to be like original insights and be well structured. You want it to be polarized, so to take a stance, but you don't want it to be clickbaity. I think the LLMs are getting smarter at detecting clickbait, from what I've seen, especially with the way Google's indexing things and showing things in their AI searches. It tends to be a lot more matter of fact and yeah, referencing known and trustworthy examples, and then looking at things like comprehensive coverage. So again, on that authenticity and trust worthy, showing those trust signals, you want to be the best answer. So making sure there's no content gaps, because otherwise AI will fill them with someone else's content. Making sure you've got regular updates to that content as well. So making sure the data is fresh, and that essentially encourages the LLMs to keep referencing that data. Making sure it's crawlable as well, so there's no kind of text hidden in images, like making it easy for the LLMs to crawl. Yes, they can extract those things, but it doesn't make it easy for them. You want to make it as easy as possible for them to index your site on a regular basis. And one of the things they do is I noticed this with Google. So there was an article I saw the other day. Basically, they only read the first I think it's 2 megs of every resource. So if you've got a large PDF guide, for instance, that goes over that, it's not going to read a huge amount, or large videos or whatever else it is. They're only going to read the first I think it's 2 megs of data, to make sure the resources you have aren't too big in size. Then there's the obvious ones around kind of just make sure you've got a logical site structure, so products and categories, and then naming, and make sure you've got those breadcrumbs these days. They can just be in schema, but actually having it behind the scenes, it's clear what the product or the site tree is. Looking at the use of schema on products as well. So product schema. So this is where we make it exceptionally easy for a LLM to understand what the product is, because it's a set structured format for describing products that they can then ingest in real time. And then the fast load times we mentioned before, the mobile friendliness, that those are actually signals that are used by the search engines and the LLMs to decide whether or not to use your content in a response. And doing all these things, like you're creating great content. You want to get your content shared on like Reddit and LinkedIn as top kind of citation sources for the LLMs. So right now, the Reddit and then LinkedIn are the top 2 sources for data being ingested in the LLMs. So yeah, really important to have that included. And yeah, be the authority. So you want to have your helpful tools and calculators on site. And this, I think, is going to be really big in 2026, because there is a new connector being available called Web MCP. Now, you may not have heard of MCPs, but they are ways to give LLMs access to functionality. So we can have tools essentially that the LLMs can interact with. And there's also some of the LLMs are releasing UI based components that you can build to actually be in their own chat. Now, they will be simpler to an extent, but you can have a lot of links through to your own resources and sites and your methodologies and calculators and that sort of thing can actually be within the chat itself. So that's a new feature that's going to become very popular, I think, in 2026, or a couple of new features with the MCP. And yeah, it's just giving the tooling to the LLMs to a certain extent. So yeah, so when someone asks ChatGPT about your product category, you want to be cited, you want to be linked, and these are the ways that you make it. You make the LLMs know that you're the right resource to focus on and to give that information to. And then yeah, you want to convert more visitors to customers. So this is where you have you're taking things like those AI search features. So having the richer functionality on site that already from the data we know creates a higher conversion rate. Like use that to your advantage. Build these AI searches, these conversational commerce and advanced tools like the product recommendations or the AI try on to really make an impact with your customer and help them understand that by visiting your site direct, they're going to get a better experience. Like then the priority one has got to be the like things like the search. So 15% of users using search. I think it's probably gone up a bit. That's a bit of an old stat, but they're generating 45% of revenue. So it's a disproportionate share going through that avenue. And then when you do integrate AI into search, you then typically see a 3x conversion increase versus a basic search. So it's having those really intelligent and smart tools that can help the users get through to making a decision and making the purchase faster. And these like I say, these start from sort of 25K for a sort of 4 to 6 week basic implementation, and you can have have that payback within sort of 3 to 6 months from the conversion lift alone. So depending on how much you're selling, but it can have a massive impact very quickly and start really paying for itself and encouraging future investment. The same is true of the conversational commerce. Like, don't just let the LLMs be the smart interfaces for your product data. Build your own, build them better. Like, you can have an AI chatbot on site, and I call it a chatbot, but it's basically like just build a chat interface, like a hero section that is a chat, and it allows customers to do rich product questions and searching and multimedia questions and answers through that interface with your recommendations, with things like your size help. It's trained on your catalog, your policies, your data, available 24/7. So for things like mobile shoppers and late night browsers, that's where they're going to get the best advantage, and have that. You can still have that seamless handoff to a human if they have a question the LLM can't answer. Like I say, Klarna made a 32 million pound saving, thereabouts $40 million, by improving their AI actions on site. And have those more advanced tools as well. So this is where we're going some little bit deeper, but perhaps the visual search for your product catalog, the AI product recommendations, the augmented reality try on, the virtual room placement, and those configurators for the more complex products. They're all experiences that keep those customers coming back. And so that's kind of the way I'd kind of schedule those. Then there is the compounding growth. So fix the fundamentals. So basically, reduce your abandonment to get more sales. Then start capturing those intent signals through AI search, through the conversational interfaces. Create content around them and earns LLM citations. You can also use tools like Profound, which will enable you to see where your brand is being shown in LLM searches, and then you can build content to kind of fill the gaps. Build superior tools so you can win customers from LLMs for direct sales at a higher margin, use that direct customer data to build better personalization on site, which leads to kind of the higher lifetime value and the ability to reinvest. So in a way, think like Amazon in terms of their feature set. These things are very easy to integrate now, and definitely worth the investment for most e-commerce sites. So yeah, the quick wins be things like fixing the page speed, the mobile checkout UX, the clear CTAs on site, and doing a content audit to understand kind of intent signals. And yeah, bigger investments be things like the AI powered search and the conversational commerce. But even still, I'm saying bigger investments there, like the starting point is going to be impactful, and that could be done in a matter of weeks. So and then things like the visual search and AR tools, and the full kind of personalization engine. So yeah, questions. So yeah, so should we block LLMs from crawling our site was the question that kind of came up in the LinkedIn post. So I would say don't block them. Losing that visibility is worse than losing the margin that you would lose on the sale. You want to be recommended. Just make sure that the transaction happens direct when it matters. For something more advanced, and you can keep those customers coming back. And should we measure if LLM traffic is actually converting on our site? Definitely, I would say. So track the referral source in analytics. You can see them in Google Analytics now, and create unique discount codes for LLM specific traffic, and survey kind of the customers and like how did they hear about us. So where did they come? Did you come through an LLM when you found us? That is, yeah, it's zero party data that you're gonna have to capture in order to get that information to a certain extent, unless you're able to track through kind of UTM parameters or something like that. And then yeah, commodity products. So you can still win customers back, but yeah, it's providing that better customer service, providing better support. Like Amazon sells a lot of commodities. The service they provide is a differentiator. It's so easy to set up subscriptions, to set up repeat purchases, to keep things in your basket and wish lists, and browse and see the recommendations and everything like that. Like all those features they have, they're well thought out, and a good guide for how to improve e-commerce experience. And then yeah, so if you want to convince your board to invest in an own channel, like AI on your own channel versus paying for ads or that on the AIs, then essentially what you want to say that basically is investing in those capabilities will reduce that 4% margin to zero for high value purchases, and then increase lifetime value through that own data and compound over time. Paying that 4% forever will cap your margin. So use it as a discovery channel to get the customers on site, and then build a better experience that keeps them coming back. That's the way forward. So yeah, the bottom line for today, I'll stop sharing now, is yeah, retail keywords are triggering AI overviews by 206% in Q1 of 2025. That stat was from, and it's increased ever since. The conversion rate is dropping 47% when they appear, and that is the reality for D2C brands. But the answer isn't to fight or ignore it. The answer is strategic. So accept the LLM commerce for quick purchases, pay that 4% for discovery, and use inbox incentives to win them back. And then yeah, build your site undeniably better for everything else. So the 15 reasons I gave, they're reasons that customers will choose direct. So things like the loyalty, the configuration, the tools, personalization, trust, community, experience, logistics, exclusivity, and pricing. So research from Algolia demonstrates that a 3x conversion from an AI powered search is the kind of results you can expect. And that's on your site with your data, with zero ongoing transaction fees from the LLMs. So building that better experience is worth it. The LLMs are fantastic, but they can't be everything to all people. So make your own channel worth coming back to. And if yeah, two ways to kind of take this forward, so you can get specific help. So if you want to book an AI audit, we will review your traffic sources, your conversion funnel, your product complexity, and identify what will make that change. We'll map out priorities. We'll start with a 30-minute free call. This is application only, but I'll put the link in the chat. And if you're not quite there yet, you want to get a bit more information or do some of these things yourselves, then you can join our newsletter, which is contains those kind of weekly strategic breakdowns for D2C leaders, with kind of this level of depth on a variety of topics. So both of those are in the chat. And yeah, thanks for watching, and until next time.